over again. Okay, my guest is Robert Pelton, the anti-American United Nations, the house that Hiss built. And, you know, now the John Birch Society has been speaking out against the UN for a long time. They're right, but I've noticed the John Birch Society doesn't point any of the fingers at the Israelis or the Jews. And let's talk about that. I have been demonized for the last 8 years by the ADL, by the Southern Poverty Law, for calling me a racist, anti-Semite. And frankly, Robert, I don't care what religion you are. You know, I don't go up and ask anybody, are you Jewish, are you Christian, are you Muslim? I don't care what religion you are, because the Constitution gives you the right to hug trees or get on your knees and stick your nose in the dirt and pray to Mecca 2 or 3 times a day. And if you want to beat your head against that Wailing Wall, you can go do that. But the whole fact is, communism was financed and started by Jewish international bankers, and I'm sorry, yeah, you know, I had somebody come up, I ran one article in my magazine called, Do Jews Run the World, and Is It Hate to Ask That Question? And they said, you know, you should, why didn't you check with me before you wrote that? I didn't write it. You know, you got a problem with it? Answer. Do Jews run, but is it hate to ask that? The Jews started communism. Marx and Lenin started communism. The Jews ran the concentration camps. The Jews sacrificed their own in Germany to drive them to forced labor and to drive them out into Palestine so they could invade Palestine. I don't believe this is a totally Jewish plot, because I think the Jews are pretty much an invented people according to some of their own things. But tell me about this. How does it stand? If, in America today, if you say, wait a minute, Marx was Jewish, Lenin was Jewish, if you said that in Russia, as they were taking it over, that was a capital offense, wasn't it? That means they put a bullet to your head?
Exactly.
Now, it's the same way here. If I say, wait a minute, you know, we can talk about Muslims all we want.
That's right.
But if I talk about Jews, you can't use the word Jew in my show. Oh, I see. Can I use Christian? Can I use Muslim? How about pantheist? I think maybe I'll be a pantheist today.
Well, the thing about it is,
yes, and Trotsky.
You can't use the term, the word, because we've been conditioned to look at it as an uh-oh type thing. It's politically incorrect. The same way, what they did, go back to, no, we're talking, you say the Jews, okay, you say the word Jew, you say anything about a Jew, okay, right away all the defense mechanisms come up. Now, you mentioned one, I'll give you one example of this. That is the Southern Poverty, I think it's called the Law Center. I believe it's in Atlanta.
Yes, Southern Poverty Law.
Morris Dees runs this thing, right?
Morris, I call him, Morris the Sleaze Dees, the child molester, the homosexual. Yeah, I know him.
And he has become wealthy, I'm talking millions, by getting government grants for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, he's a red. He's identified as a communist. I'm not just saying this. He is. It's provable. You can check it out. I'm talking, not you, but I'm talking about your listeners. Okay, Morris Dees. You have to consider where the propaganda or the attack is coming from on you. Well, why wouldn't he attack you? He's your deadly enemy. I mean, you can't. If he were to get my UN book and crucify me as a radical, rabble-rousing right-winger, well, hey, I would look at it just the opposite, because he is criticizing me from his radical viewpoint. Anybody that's a threat to him and his organization and exposing him and his organization are enemies. Not only his organization, but the socialist network in the U.S. Anything. That's why my books, generally speaking, Clay, never get reviewed by the major media. If they're ever seen, they're probably not. But hey, it's on the internet. You can find my books if any person wants to. But they are listed in books and print such as this with places like the Barnes and Noble. But you won't see them reviewed unless they're reviewed on the internet by people who know how to do reviews on the internet, how to do reviews and get you some coverage. But they're not going to be reviewed by the mainstream media. That's my point.
Now,
hey, ignore it, it'll go away.
Let me just stop you right there for a second, because
the
mainstream media, and Southern Poverty Law, ADL, they've listed me in armed and dangerous and false patriots. The fact is, I haven't done anything other than they say that I started the militias. I did that, but I did it in the governor's office. The way my guest a couple of days ago, he went to his sheriff, and they started on a Texas border there, and he started a militia, and he went to the sheriff and said, "We're working for you. You know, consider us your deputies. You can call us up anytime you need help." You know, not a terrorist organization, you know, working with the government the way we're supposed to. And they don't like that. And they're going after I say three classes of people. They're going after the veterans, they're going after the oath keepers, they're going after the people like me. I've always called myself the canary in the coal mine. And I've said what happened to me, they'll come after me first, because I'm vocal, I'm loud, I'm up there in front of everybody. And but they're going to be coming after you too, and that's happening now, isn't it? Why can't people see that what happened in Russia is happening here right now? It's a communist, you know, and yeah, a lot of the communists are Jews. That don't mean the little old lady next door to you is that's Jewish is part of the problem. She's not. I've said the hard thing is how do you fight evil like this? And what we were talking about, this UN, this global government, this communist plan for global government is financed by the bankers. It's financed by the international banks because they're making all the money off you. You're paying that income tax. You're paying those taxes. You're paying that gasoline. You're paying for that gasoline. They're making a ton of money off of you. They're not going to tear things down. They're just going to keep you afraid, keep you confused, and so you don't look at the truth, and so you don't demand that these politicians and these bankers who are guilty of treason should be arrested.
I agree. I can't disagree with you.
What happened to your sound? Your
You got me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I had my finger over the... I don't know.
Okay, we got you.
So I'm back. Okay.
All right,
okay now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay, we got you.
We got 15. We got 15 minutes left here. So.
To answer your question, I do not think there is an answer to that question because there is an answer until more people catch on and move on this. There's not going to be any change because we're captives at this point of the one worlders. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's the way it is. What are you going to do about it?
They have
do what you're doing, hoping that it starts to catch on, that we're exposing these bastards. I'm writing books to expose them. I mean, that's my contribution to our freedom in society, you know. But will it do any good? I don't know. But I can't not write the books just because it may not do any good. On the same token, they may do good. You educate the right person, who knows? I mean, you could get a congressman who would read the books, for example, and pass some sort of legislation, try to get it into Congress to take us out of the UN. I mean, you know, as you say, the Birch Society years ago did exactly this. Tried. They had billboards up, everything. Get the U.S. out of the UN. They became very famous for it, and they were very controversial because of that. Why? Because they were stepping on toes. Now, sadly enough, the man who was Robert Welch, when Robert Welch died, the man who is his number one honcho, the boss, right? You there?
Yes.
Okay. The one man that was under Robert Welch. Robert Welch was the founder of the Birch Society. He was a candy maker. He was a businessman, very successful. It started when he talked to a bunch of business people that he knew as friends around the United States and convinced them that there was a conspiratorial situation in the country that needed addressing. Well, they formed the John Birch Society, which was really a great organization. They exposed so much stuff to people, but the man who was second in command. When Robert Welch died, this man took over, naturally. And in my estimation, he destroyed the Birch Society. Destroyed the Birch Society. Why? Well, perhaps it was because he would rather be invited to speak at Harvard as a Bircher, as a John Birch Society member, called a Bircher, a right-winger. He would be rather trade off the goodness of what the society was truly about for his own political gain, and that was to be a speaker at Harvard or Yale or Princeton. This actually did happen. Now, I mean, I know for a fact, because I know the man, and I know he was speaking at Harvard, and that was a feather in his cap, because no one from the Birch Society would ever be allowed there. If they were, they would have been booed and thrown beer cans at. But he stopped doing what the Birch Society was famous for, and that was exposing Reds. Okay, now I had done a book, the McCarthy book, and when I first did the McCarthy 1 and 2, it was a different title. It was a big book, and it grew to about 900 pages. So it was too big to publish as one book. Okay, so years later, I mean, this worked around, evolved over 35. It eventually became the McCarthy Chronicles, thanks to my son-in-law, came up with this title, Book 1, Book 2. I sent a copy of the original manuscript into the head of the Birch Society, which I knew him. I mean, I'd met the man numerous times. I'd heard him speak numerous times. And so I sent him a copy of my manuscript. I could get in the front door with this thing. I mean, I know he looked at it because I knew him. I made it personal to him. He sent it back to me, and he said, that's old news. He said, we're not interested in that. I'm talking about the McCarthy Chronicles, which is exactly what Robert Welch had been teaching, with updated on a lot of stuff. But they were complete manuals of everything they had taught, plus what they stood for, plus what I stand for, and then added on new material. He said it had no relevance in today's society. It was dated material. Oh, yeah, we know all about that. That's the old threat. It doesn't exist anymore. I thought, how can you say that? This is the head of the Birch Society under Robert Welch. How could he possibly be so stupid to think that all of a sudden, all of the pinks and reds and lefties and socialists and so on that went into government under Roosevelt and started this whole thing, where did they evaporate to? Did they just leave of their own accord? No. So,
Robert, you know, we've got more people in prison right now today than any so-called communist country out there.
Well, I can't deny that. No.
I mean, they already have their gulag system set up. They moved the homegrown terrorism law that turned into the fusion centers. They're installing SWAT teams and giving tanks to sheriffs or to police departments in major cities now. They've pretty much suspended posse comitatus. Are things coming to a head? I mean, we can go back. We can talk about Rhodesia. We can talk about Russia. It's all happened there. It's happening here now. What do we do? How do we deal with this? The people don't want to know. They're afraid. They have instilled this aura of fear that anybody, he's a militia guy, you know, he's a biker, he's an anti-government, he's an anti-Semite, he's a racist. He talks. He wants to shoot all the illegals that are coming here. No, you know, that ain't exactly what's happening, but that's what it's going on now. It's going on now. How do we oppose this? They don't want to know. The people don't want to know. They don't want to listen to this show, and of course we're being blocked and demonized to keep anybody from listening to the show. Well, you got a Ron Paul bumper sticker, you could be a terrorist.
Well, how do you do it? You don't. I mean, Clay, unless we get people behind us, unless we get people that know and are educated and get knowledge, you can't just anymore say, read the paper. I mean, that's the biggest propaganda garbage in the world. Read the paper. Yeah. Well, sure. But the papers are the ones that build up the movies that are propaganda, like, for example, J. Edgar with DiCaprio in it, who made a big hit with himself on the ship that went down. What the hell do you call it? The one that sunk. It was unsinkable.
Oh, the Titanic.
Titanic. He's
Yeah,
a big
back
man.
on the just a few days ago, 100 years ago, and just so happened all the opposition to the Federal Reserve was on that boat, except Morgan. Morgan didn't show up. He owned the damn boat.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What are you going to do? I mean, but there's the thing. You're asking a question. What do you do? Well, I don't know. There's not a lot we can do except to perhaps. Okay, it's a thing. I think that people better wise up and look into militias. I really do. Look into forming a militia, protect themselves and their family. What the hell are they going to do? Are they going to just go and sucker in on this thing?
The well-regulated American militia site is up on the man that's been on there. They're already gone after him since he's been on my show, Robert. So just to give you a heads up so you can probably expect this. Since he was on my show, it's all over the internet, man. He's a government snitch. He's working for the FBI. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's doing this. You know... Sorry?
But that happens. We had that in Tennessee. We had that happen. You just, listen. It's not unusual because when we had that here in Tennessee, the militia, there was no way. Here's what happened. We had a meeting. This was during the Y2K, as you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And, in fact, that's how we know each other.
Yes.
It goes back many, many years now. The Y2K situation. As a result of that, there was a lot of interest at that point in our society, in militia, in joining a militia movement. In Knoxville, Tennessee, you had a meeting at a lady's house, and she had a big, I mean, I'm talking about a sprawling type mansion, huge. It had like a gymnasium for the living room. I mean, it was huge. And we had a meeting there. And you know that was packed. You could standing room only. You couldn't even get people in the house. There was so much interest in a militia. Okay, one was formed. Well, I think that the lady at the house, unfortunately, they appointed a person in charge, and the lady of the house, I think, felt that she should have been in charge. The person who was put in charge wasn't politically astute enough to realize this, because he could have and would have simply gone and raised his hand and say, hey, look, I appreciate your vote and all this stuff, but I think this lady would be well versed to do it. Because she had the time, she had a business, and she was politically correct, astute. She knew what was going on. But it didn't happen. Okay, she in turn, now here's the dirty thing about it. Unfortunately, she in turn turned around and said, oh my gosh, about the head guy. He's a snitch. He's FBI. You got to watch him. Well, words went through the whole organization, and honest to God, Clay went flat on his face. Just on rumor, an innuendo. She did it. She ruined the whole thing because she promoted a lie, a falsehood like that.
We get that kind of crap. You know, Clay's selling that book to raise money for a snitch named Huevos. Don't know any snitch.
People tell me, hey, look, people tell me all the time, oh, you're getting rich on your books. That's why you're writing bullshit. Hey, listen, I haven't sold a human book yet. It hasn't even been on the market. It's just going on the market now. It'll be on Amazon. If anybody wants to look it up, hey, go to Amazon. You can get it from you. But if you want to go to Amazon, it'll be on Amazon. You can buy it off Amazon. The book's available. It's $10. Start with a $10 bill for crying out loud. It's not much money. Yeah, I spent time working this. I spent a lot of time on it. I don't expect to get rich. And I'll tell you one other thing. If I did, it would go back into the movement. It'd go back into the movement because I started my own publishing house called the Freedom and Liberty Foundation Press. It's on. It don't anybody send me manuscripts because I can't publish them. But if anybody out there is writing a book of the stuff we're talking about, Clay, they can contact me at ChristianAmerica2yahoo.com, ChristianAmerica number 2 and the figure 2 at yahoo.com, and mention the title of the book and tell me a little bit about themselves. Hey, look, don't send me the book because I can't read them all, you know. But I will help them to get it published. I will tell them how to get it published at no cost to them.
Well, I have my books now up on Barnes and Noble, and and the Nook. Mystery Babylon is available on the Nook. The Trevor Cameron series is going to start to be advertised in biker magazines around the country, because it is a biker magazine. I mean, it's a biker novel, fiction novel. And I've got my Mystery Babylon and the Trevor Cameron series all up on Kindle on Amazon.com.
Well,
so
that's the thing you got to plug. You're only going to sell books when people know where they're available.
Yes.
There are buyers out there. There are buyers out there that would be interested in what you got to read. But you got to let them know it's there. Every time I go anywhere, I try to mention when I give people a little business card I had made up for my books. I mean, I had one made up for my survival series, a little 4-inch by 6-inch, made for a backpack, made for a rope compartment. Perfect, 300 to 400 pages apiece. They're the only ones like them that I know of, not only in America, but in the world. Nobody's designed a set of books like I've got for sale. How do I let people know? Well, I had a business card made up. It cost me $200 investment. I got 3,500 of them. They're a little bit bigger than a business card, but they're perfect for putting on bulletin boards and so on. Okay, I live in a town that has Fort Bragg. Major airborne. The airborne, capital of the Army. And they have a bulletin board in the commissary. I go in and I put 3 or 4 cards on each of their 2 bulletin boards with a little tack in the corner, and I put in 3 or 4 and I spread them out, fan them so people can see, hey, there's more than one take that. And they do disappear. So people are picking them up, and I am starting to get sales. How? Because people are going to Amazon. If I meet somebody, I talk to somebody, hey, a bill collector. I'm not talking about, I don't owe them, but say, for example, I call up to pay American Express bill, right? I talk to their person, nice lady usually, and I'll say, well, I forget a lot of times. I want to go ahead and pay this up because I'm a writer and I forget. Always mention that. She says, oh, really? What do you write? This is 9 times out of 10. I'm a writer, not a radio host like you. I'm a writer. And they'll say, oh, really? What do you write? And I'll tell her one of my titles, 2 of my titles, and I'll say, why don't you just get on Amazon? I said, you got a home computer? Well, everybody does. I haven't had anybody say no yet. And I said, why don't you, when you go home, get on the computer and go to Amazon, go to the book section, type in Robert Pelton. Well, they do this. It's got to be done because people are buying my books.
That's right.
Little things, little gimmicks.
Matter of fact, I'm just starting to get checks are just starting to come in on my revenue sharing. The radio show is actually doing pretty well. We're doing well, but Robert, you can get all of your books, and we'll have your latest one up as soon as I get the artwork on it. We'll have that up on the Free American website. This show will be attached on Free American website, and if you go to Free American, folks, you can order Robert's book direct from him. From the publishers. You can do the same thing with mine, or you can get them from Amazon.com. And tell people about this show. They don't want you to know this information. This is all mind control. They don't call television programming for nothing. And we are breaking out. And actually, I think I do have answers. Robert, we kind of got this, what you're talking about, the Patriot. Oh, he's a snitch. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Oh, he's anti. This is all negative input, negative energy put into us. And folks, I think we got to kind of turn that around. We got to raise our level of vibrational energy.
You're right.
We got to feel the love, folks, because it actually changes your brain. I have kind of gone through an epiphany. I'm not angry at my family anymore. I'm not angry at the patriots that turned their back on me after the accident. I'm not angry at anybody anymore. I'm not angry at anybody because I think we've got a real positive future. I'm kind of happy to be living in the 21st century. I think it's got tremendous opportunities. It's never been easy to be free, has it, Robert?
I agree with you 100%.
And all of his books, all of his books are.
If I don't feel that way, Clay, I wouldn't bother writing books. I don't have to write. I don't have to write these books. I am obsessed to write these books. I'm a writer. That's it, period. I'm very fortunate to be in on this type of thing. I think it'll help people. Hopefully people will look at this and say, wow, I didn't know that. The main thing is, it's not for money. It's to help the cause.
That's right.
And you never give up on it. It doesn't look good for us, no. And we've already said that. But, hey, if it does change, Clay Douglas is going to be on top of the heap.
I think it's changing. I think I will be. I think you will be. I think we are going to win this battle. They don't have the power they want you to believe they have, folks. If they did, we'd still be under the Syrian Empire, the Roman Empire. We'd still be a slave in Egypt.
I agree.
All right, Robert, I'll have you back on.
Okay.
And all of your books, send me the JPEGs and all that, and I'll put them up with your other books that are up on freeamerican.com right now. And folks, you can tell your friends, just write the number that's up on my website, and you can listen to this show today on your cell phone. Give this phone number to a friend. Say, listen to this. Listen to Robert Pelton. Listen to Clay Douglas. Get their books. Listen to this radio show. Folks, that is how we win. That's the only way. We educate. We educate because I don't want to shoot nobody. I managed to avoid having to shoot anybody when I joined the Army, and I ain't going to shoot anybody in the future, except in self-defense. This is not an organization. We're not looking for war. We're looking to maintain the constitutional republic our founding fathers gave us. I took an oath to do that. Most of you probably did too at one time or another. Robert Pelton, thank you for being with me. God bless you for your work.
Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to it again.
All right, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Call recording has been completed.
Okay, I'm done now, folks. You heard it at the front of the show. You heard it at the beginning of the show. Come on, work here. Okay. The show can be heard at 832-999-8621. You can text it to a friend, have a friend listen. Start telling people about it. They don't want you to know about me. They didn't want you to know about me, if you're listening now. And they will do everything they can to demonize me. They will do anything they can to try to discredit me. They try to threaten me. Guess what? It don't work, folks. None of us get out of this alive. You simply can't give in to their fear tactics. That's really what it is. It's the fear. Now, we have to go from faithless fear to fearless faith, from media deception to media correction, from health insurance to health assurance. Whereas faith-based reality aspires to perfect love that is forgiving, fear-based reality gets stuck in self-sabotaging victim dictatum that brings our worst fears upon us with more to fear. And you know, folks, I think that's what happened to me over the years after the accident. It happened to me then. And we're fixing it. I'm fixing it. Not with hate. Don't care about nobody. Like Robert said, I'm a writer. I'm a writer, and I am continuing to write. I've got new books out.